what makes a location for a kind of a short-term let? What is the type of property that people should kind of consider for a short-term let? Because if you're considering the asset first, and that's the starting point, saying, okay, well, I want to make sure fundamentally it's the right property, the right location. If you're looking at maybe the serviced accommodation type industry, we touched on before, it's more kind of the hotel experience. My understanding would be that they're probably more likely to be city centre like locations. If you're looking at holiday let type investment, you may be looking at maybe country cottages or seaside, or again, towns or cities that maybe have some historic value that people as tourism want to kind of go to and stay as a holiday. So how does the kind of the location choice and selection work when it comes to kind of short-term lets? What do you see and kind of feel is the right locations that people make it work?
Location is key, and it's generally city centre. Okay. Generally city centre and town centre. If someone's working away, they want to be close to everything. Now that won't be everybody, obviously, but that'll be a good 95%. As little maintenance as possible, not only from their side but from your side, because let's say it's a house, then you've got to make sure the house is pristine, but that involves gardening, etc., whatever it may be. They want ease, they want to be able to check in, they want to be able to go for some food, they want to be able to be close to a convenience store, whatever it may be. And it just needs to be modern, I would say, and so it does. City centres now, you don't get houses. So we focus on leaseholds, apartments, because that's where the demand is. That's going to be near. So let's say it's an area, let's use Manchester again, where you go to Manchester now and there's cranes everywhere, and when you look at a building site, there's not just builders on the building site. There's a lot of people that get put up in very nice properties, not saying builders don't. But they need to be near the site, or they want to be near the site, so it always really comes down to location in terms of it within the city. In terms of the cities, because we want to focus on the investment, we look for areas where there's either very little on the market or where we know historically investment has been good. So a couple of areas off the top. I mean, we are actively looking for something in Ipswich because we know that it's a decent commute out to London now. There's certainly a market there for that. Prices are quite good, and we have also been told by our relocations that they have plenty of people asking to be booked there, but there is nothing there. So that for us makes it a great investment.
So trying to get ahead of that.
Just trying to get that, Nottingham's another one. Nottingham's somewhere where we're very keen to get involved with, and then you've got your Sheffields and Leeds and places like that. But it'd be easy for us just to sign up with anyone and the developer come along and say, I'm doing this, but we want to get in a position where we approach and say, right, okay, let's work together and do this and build a relationship and create our own brand where people know what they're going to get is, a nice development that's not nicely priced in a good location that gives them options. And these smaller cities where you'll get good nightly rates, but your property prices are going to be significantly lower than some of the bigger cities. And then you've also got to look sometimes at what your trade is, because if it's predominantly tourism and a sort of midweek tourism, because Chester's a bit different in that context. We get a lot of long-term bookings in Chester, but Chester itself is actually a lot of tourists. And you don't want your month to be filled by a lot of short bookings, because after every short booking, there's a cleaning cost that comes with that. Sort of the perfect storm sometimes, if they're not stopping all week, is Monday to Friday, they've got someone clean, then utilise that weekend trade. Perfectly, you want them in for, the full 30 days, whatever it may be. So Liverpool's an area that I think I'm fair to say, going on record, it's not somewhere we would ever now look to promote if it was just a standard tenancy. Because we believe that, there's a lot out there at the end of the day. But we also know it's actually quite good on a short-term let side. We know the potential is there because they only have serviced accommodation, that are purpose-built, designed, and we know there's a market for it. But we need to find that right project to do that. It doesn't, going back to what we were saying earlier, it doesn't tick all our boxes if it just does short-term lets. It ticks our boxes if the price is right and the location is right and the potential for the future is there. Because that, again, goes back to the point of the investment that counts.
So you can cherry pick in that instance then the locations and also the developments, rather than maybe being focused too heavily on one particular town or city in the UK, where all of a sudden you get a lot of success, but maybe you too exposed in one particular region. You can, as you said there, kind of Ipswich, is an area that's of interest.
We've linked in with a company now where effectively we get information from a planning stage. So I can then approach people at a very early stage. So I say, right, okay, what you're doing in terms of marketing promoting, are you looking to sell this off plan? If you are, then can we have a chat? And if we can do that, which is our aim, we are really not restricted, and we don't want to oversaturate an area. It defeats the entire object of what we're doing. But if we can get there first and sort of look, and I think we're also looking down the smaller development route as well, rather than the larger development route. If we can get that route, then I think we're going to be in a pretty good place. It's there are lots of areas out there where this would work. And there are lots of areas where there isn't an option. There's also lots of areas where there's too much option, areas that would probably surprise you. Bristol's another place where we're looking. We're looking in lots of places, but that doesn't mean we're going to have something in the next month or year. It still has to be the right thing at the right time for what we do. And if we can get that going, then we hope that our current investors, the ones we've got now, will just trust us when it comes to saying, right, okay, we've got the next one that we're looking at.
You should pick it for a reason that is the fundamentals of that asset, of that location. But not
Colwyn Bay being a prime example of that. The stay vacation is also something else we believe is going to be very big. So in some aspects, we do concentrate very much on the corporate market when you talk about your major city centres or your major town centres. But we believe the staycation is going to become quite big,
So crossing over into the holiday let type
thing. But then it's marketed as that as well. But what you have got is, so again, talking about Colwyn Bay, you've got the holiday let market, and the holiday season now generally is between April and October. It's quite long. Now in that particular area, it's got a lot of money spent on the promenade, but it's got Snowdonia behind it as well, which is a favourite area of mine. But if we can still utilise that off season, because it's next to a hospital, if you can utilise it off season, then it becomes something very strong. And we're looking at areas like that, and that's why I mentioned places like Blackpool or wherever they may be, because they're deliberately trying to up themselves again, in terms of bringing themselves as a brand again as Blackpool, and I think that's it. But you also expect property prices to go up quite low against quite high nightly rates. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and if I could click my fingers or have a magic wand and get them all on, I would. But like I said, there's a lot of research into going to make sure everything's right. And it's not just that, it's making sure the lease is right. It's making sure now with mortgages, we know what people want and need. And, in terms of ground rents and things like that, we've got to make sure that's right as well. It's the full Monty in terms of making sure the ground is right. But when we bring it on and it is right and the numbers work, then they generally do very well.